Strange but true stories. Tales from the light side, the dark side, and the other side. I'm Steve White. I live in the North Carolina mountains, and I love getting out into nature whenever I can. Whether it's a hike or out on the mountain bike, following a trail and getting a little lost every now and then to discover new places I haven't seen is great fun. But I like to do those things when it's light outside. I'm not much of a night hiker, or a camper person even. And after receiving this story from a viewer, I'm not sure I ever will be. This story is from the perspective of a young lady who found herself face to face with an unknown creature that she believes meant to rip the flesh from her bones. This happened in my late teens. My uncle owns a rural property right outside this big and dense forest in Mexico, and we went down for a visit. When I went for visits there, I'd sometimes go around the forest listening to my iPod or reading or even cleaning up after other people. People would camp and walk through these woods all the time, and there was so much disgusting garbage left behind. I mean, seriously, how hard is it to pick up after yourselves when you go out in the woods? Leave no trace, right? All this garbage really ticked me off because over the course of time I found many wounded and sick critters as a result. It was our last Saturday there, and the weather was absolutely awful. It was foggy and rainy and gray. That should have been my first sign. Everyone but me and my very old aunt wanted to go to some new mall that just opened up in the city, and my aunt likes to watch those fake court shows, so pass on both of those activities. Instead, I decided to go out for a couple of hours while everyone was out and before they came back for dinner. I took my usual route. The path was surprisingly clean. There had been some bad weather during the season, and not many people visited the area, and also the fact that I had been doing a lot of cleaning already meant I didn't have to worry about any garbage pickup on this day. So, not having to stop every few steps to pick up somebody's leftover Doritos bag or soda cans, I ended up going deeper in the woods than I'd ever gone previous. Looking back on this incident, I know now how stupid my decision was, especially since this was pretty much uncharted territory to me, and I was alone. But it was still early enough in the day, and it's not like there are any bears or lions out here. Maybe a couple of coyotes, but that's about the extent of it. I wandered to the crest of a hill that I had seen but never ventured to before. When I got to the top, the view was just perfect. I could see my uncle's house and property, and for many miles beyond that. It was obviously a popular spot and a hangout place for people because there were a lot of beer cans and cigarette butts there. But I didn't let that ruin my enjoyment of just being in that beautiful place at that time. Eventually, I cleaned up the spot a good bit, and then I lingered after that, which turned out to be a bit of a mistake. Actually, more like a big mistake. As I started back down the hill towards my uncle's place, the sky opened up and rain just poured. I had seen those clouds moving in, but thought I had more time. Anyway, the rain was coming down. Heavy. I decided I needed to find some shelter from the storm and looked around for a refuge. I finally found a rock formation that got me out of the rain enough to regroup. I realized that in trying to find shelter, I had gone off my known path and was turned around. Well, more to the point, I was lost. I started to get concerned, since the rain did last for a while and it was already getting dark. Don't get me wrong, at that age, I was all for nature, and I still am, but I was not about to pass a night in this cold, dark, creepy forest. The rain subsided, and I started walking again in the direction I thought I needed to go. I paused for a moment and noticed that the forest was really, eerily quiet. I attributed it to the rain. It was now getting dark, and I still had no clue where I was. I tried my phone several times, but I barely got any signal back at the ranch. Out here, 0 bars. The sun went down, and it was really dark now, and this forest was the scariest place you can imagine, and I mean that. Not a single sound. The clouds hid the moon, so really dark. All I had was the light from my flip phone. I was scared, cold, tired, and lost. I really needed to get home. I remember thinking, It's been so long, somebody should have come for me by now. But in these woods, with nobody really knowing which way I went, was going to make it almost impossible. I mean, I couldn't have wandered off that far, but the fact that it was almost 10 and that I wasn't found yet had me in tears most of the walk. I was really worried. And then I heard it. Priscilla. It was my dad. But at the same time, it wasn't. I ran in the direction I thought I heard him, but something was off. I didn't care. I couldn't care. I was afraid and I needed my daddy. I mean, it was his voice. Who else could it be, right? Then I heard the voice say again, Priscilla. But it sounded like staggering almost and calm. I mean, he should be yelling for his daughter, but he wasn't. Something wasn't right, and this bad feeling in my stomach kept getting worse. I heard the voice a third time say my name. It came from in front of me. A few trees were between me and this voice that I heard, but it was close. I called for my dad the whole time I was running, but he never said anything other than my name, and there were no lights that I could see. And why wasn't anybody with my dad, like my uncle or my mom? I froze. Something, not a voice, but a tingling sensation was alerting me to get out of there. And I did. And then I heard a growl, and I took off in the other direction. That growl was bizarre. Nope, not my dad or anybody else that I know. I swear, I ran faster than Usain Bolt that day. Whatever the heck that thing was, it was now following me. I just remember running like crazy when I stumbled into the path. I recognized it as the path I spent my whole summer cleaning up. It looked familiar to me now, and I just ran in that direction as fast as I could. It felt like my lungs were about to collapse. The recent rain had made the path really wet, but I was not going to let that thing catch me, especially since I was so close to being home. But I started to slow. I kept telling myself I had to go hard, keep moving, but my body would just not comply. My legs were tired. My lungs were burning. I hurt all over. Eventually, I gave in and collapsed. This is it. Whatever it was is going to catch up to me now. But it didn't. I hadn't noticed, but it had stopped following me. I started to cry. I cried for a few minutes while I rested there. I pulled myself back together and started moving again. I started feeling a little confident since I knew the ranch was maybe 10 minutes away now. As much as I would like to say that I made it to the ranch, told my family everything, and we all hugged in the end, I can't. I could see the ranch from where I was, and I could tell that there were some people looking for me. I'm finally safe, I thought. But then I heard another sound. This time it was the sound of a wounded dog. And here's where I made another stupid mistake. I mean to say that this was the worst night of my life is an understatement. I felt so vulnerable, so defenseless, so scared. And I just wanted to get home, but come on, what was I supposed to do? Just abandon a potentially wounded animal? I yelled and one of my uncle's neighbors saw me and came my way. Everyone else followed soon after, so I figured I'd go check on the poor dog. And then a horrible smell hit my nose. A putrid stench like rotting meat. I almost puked right there, but when I got closer to the dog, it moved really strange, like it was twitching in the weirdest way, and now it wasn't making those noises. I don't know what it was that possessed me to look up, but to this very day, I regret that decision the most. I saw a pair of human eyes, easily more than 6 feet tall, looking straight through me, as if looking beyond me. Behind me, my uncle's neighbor arrived just in time, armed with the most beautiful shotgun I ever saw and there ever was. He arrived by my side and shined his light toward the eyes. We were able to see the whole picture. This thing, this scrawny monster, was partially hiding just beyond the tree line. It looked like you took a bear and removed its flesh, and you're just left with the bones and the fur. But what scared me the most was definitely its pose. On one disgustingly elongated hand, he had the carcass of a dead dog against the floor. A dog I've never seen around before. And then the other hand, it was placed in the air strategically just above where I had been. If I had gotten much closer, it would have dug its claws into me. This thing was trying to lure me. My uncle's neighbor clutched the shotgun, and the rest of my family was just steps away, so the thing just went back into the forest. The neighbor then grabbed me and pulled me back. After that, my family and the neighbors arrived, and I just broke down when I hugged my dad. It's been a while since this incident, and although I consider myself to be a lady of science, I just can't chalk it up to just pure imagination. Those eyes looked human, but the rest was not something I have ever seen before. So, how can I imagine it? I did do some research and came across the Skinwalker legend, and it sounds close, but I don't think Navajo folklore extends all the way down to western Mexico. And second thing, what disturbed me the most is that it first lured me with my dad's voice, and then instead of catching me, it tried to lure me again with a totally different tactic. But I also think it was afraid of the gun. I'm not sure what it was, but I'm sure it was a sentient being, and that it's still out there. This has been another strange but true story shared with us by a viewer just like you. So what do you think she saw that day? A skinwalker, perhaps? A cryptid of another sort? Or was it a figment of imagination? Let us know what you thought of this story in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks to those who have. If you have a story you would like to share with us, send it to us in an email to strangebutTrueStories2@gmail.com. Thanks for watching this video. I'm Steve White. Until next time.